All right, what is up? Welcome to Freedom in 5 Minutes. My name is Dean Soto. We're doing this live. We have the podcast. If you search in Google Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast and Google that, you will get the podcast version, not of this story of different interviews for Freedom in 5 Minutes. These live ones, it's kind of odd. I've never done anything live before. And so I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to look like a dum-dum right in the very first ones, probably the first 100 ones doing this. And if I look like a dum-dum, it's just going to mean that I'll get better and better at this. All right. So why should you listen? You're probably like, what the heck? Who's this guy? Freedom in 5 Minutes. We are an organization of close to 50 people right now, all working remotely. So I have 50 people working for me. All of them are supporting other clients, supporting customers. And it's an organization that has grown over time we've massively expanded, which is cool. It's always cool when you get LinkedIn notifications that somebody's working for your company and you didn't even realize that person. You're kind of like, wait, who's this? Who's this faker? Who's saying that they're working for my company? And then I go and look, and they actually working on my company, working with me. So all that being said, Freedom in 5 Minutes. Long and the short is, if you go to freedomin5minutes.com, there we have virtual systems architects. Those people can duplicate what you're doing. You can spend 5 minutes showing them how to do something, and they'll document the whole thing and then do it for you. So you literally duplicate yourself in 5 minutes at a time, right? So all that being said, what are these live versions of this going to be? Are they going to be similar to the podcast? Are they going to be similar to, content and stuff like that that's on the site? No. They are going to be predominantly stories, at least the way it is right now. Stories that can help your business, your productivity. It can help you in general, things with your family, whatever it might be. Okay. So that's the goal of these. And we are going to start off with two foundational things that are going to be throughout all of these live things and throughout everything that is done with Freedom in 5 Minutes. Now, I can't see myself right now. So hopefully I have nothing in my teeth. My beautiful wife had made me this wonderful smoothie, but it has chunks of stuff in there. So I might have something in my teeth. And if I do, I apologize in advance profusely. Okay. All right. So two foundational things: hiring the right people and business systems. And this is illustrated in a story that happened not too long ago. It was so I was in the habit of building business after business after business after business. Some of them successful, some of them not. This one happened to be a successful one. And I even taught people how to do it and sold different information products, and it did pretty successful. It was pretty successful as a business, as well as teaching people how to do it. And this was Amazon drop shipping on Amazon, which is not as popular as, say, Fulfillment by Amazon, doing private label, things like that. However, I feel like I have stuff in my teeth. However, one thing that was really cool with it is that it was something that you can do from your laptop, right? You don't hold any inventory. If you don't know about drop shipping is someone buys something on Amazon from you. To them, they look like they're getting the product themselves, but what you're doing is you're actually just telling a supplier or a vendor, hey, someone just bought this, I'll buy it from you, and you send it to them. So it's just, you're basically a broker or a middleman, and it works out really well. Well, the problem was I was getting a lot of customers. I was getting a lot of customers and making a lot of sales, but the problem that was occurring was all these sales are coming in. I'm going to be the one that has to go and fulfill these things, right? Send off emails and all the other jazz. Well, it was getting to the point where I couldn't do it anymore without it infringing on other stuff that I was doing, and which meant that my business could not grow. I could not. I was getting eaten up. The time with my family was getting eaten up. All this other stuff, right? And so I was going to hire. I predominantly hire overseas. I'm scared of hiring W-2 employees. Out of the 50 so employees that I have, they are not W-2. They are all overseas. And you might say bad Dean for doing that. But there's a reason for that, which we'll talk about in different episodes on this, especially when we're talking about hiring the right people, because this works for people that are here too. And it's all based around systems. Okay. So anyway, I was like, I really, 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 really need to get help. And so I went and I started looking online to hire people. And I've been outsourcing. I've been hiring people overseas remotely since, I want to say, 2006, 2007. This was when Elance was still around and Odesk was still around. And now those are actually, I think they merged and they turned into Upwork. But this was back when they were first starting, right? They first came out. Rent-A-Coder was another one, Rent-A-Coder. And so, man, I had been outsourcing for a while, but I always ran into this one problem that I've seen other people who own businesses run into this same exact thing, and it sucks. And that is you hire, so basically rather than, so what I would do, and in this particular case, what I did was I get on the computer and I go, okay, I need someone with a skill set. I want someone who has good communication skills. I need somebody who has experience in customer service. I need somebody who's good on the phone. And all of these skill sets, right? And so what would I get back? I'd get back resumes with all of those skill sets. So when I got back these resumes, I'm like, wow, these are great. And then what I would also do is I might have like 2 or 3 questions that I'd want them to answer, and they'd be open-ended questions. And so it's not something that they can easily answer, so they really have to take the time. I want someone who's good English, and so I'm going to have these very open-ended questions, and then I would get responses back, and I'd be like, yeah, this is great, I love this, yeah, this guy looks great. And then I get on the Skype call, set the Skype call interview him on the phone or on Skype, and lo and behold, they sound perfect, great English. They sound like they're good workers. They have all the skill sets. They're answering the right questions, and things look great. Well, there was this one girl. Let's just call her Janet. I actually don't even remember her name. Let's call her Janet. This one girl who I was just like, man, this person is perfect for my drop shipping, right? Perfect, absolutely perfect. And so I say, hey, you're hired. Let's get started. I'm going to show you this training. And so I started showing these training videos that were actually my training videos. Started showing these training videos to her, and she's picking it up. And we keep on going, and I send more training videos, and she's picking it up, and things are going well. We're talking on Skype. We're talking on the phone. We're going, and everything's good. And I spent about a month training her, getting things going, getting things moving, and everything like that. And then right when things were getting good and just, I was like, oh my gosh, singing from the mountaintops, this is going to be amazing. I love it. She sends me an email saying that this is too much for her and she's going to quit. Too much for her. It's too complicated. She's going to quit. So I wasted 30 days, several hours of my own friggin' time only to have her tell me at the end of all of that that it was too complicated and that she's going to find another job. And that's not the first time that happened. It's happened over and over and over and over again. And so the problem with hiring is that typically when you hire for skill set or the typical, because here's the typical way people are hired, right? Chugga, 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 chugga. That's how I type on the keyboard. Chugga, 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 chugga. I need these skill set. I need this experience. You'll even see things like, oh, it's a plus if you have ClickFunnels experience. It's a plus if you have all this other experience, blah, 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 blah. And then you go get the resume submissions, you scan through them, you get them on interview, and you hope for the best. And sometimes it works. I want to say probably 5% of the time, 10% of the time. And when it doesn't, you waste a lot of time, right? That's the normal way of doing it. Well, what I've found is, so I got tired of that. That was something that I did not want to deal with anymore. Because not only am I wasting all that time, now I have to find somebody else and I have to train them, right? So now it's another month that's going to go by. And I hope that person doesn't leave. So you could literally spend 3 to 6 months trying to hire someone. So I got sick of it. I'm like, dude, I am done. There's no way I'm doing that. And lo and behold, I was actually mentored. One of my mentors, a guy by the name of Gonzalo Paternoster, he hired people by using a system. And we'll talk about systems later on, but generally what is meant by a system is, or we can say hired by a process, but it's a system. A system is a set step-by-step process. And the system might have little sub-processes or subsystems in there, but it is a step-by-step way of doing something. And the systems that he was using would be this, at least at the time, it was a 4-tier system. They had to go through forms. They had to answer things very specifically and correctly. They had to go through a whole bunch of different tests. They had to do just a whole bunch of different things. But the system, there was very little room for subjectivity. A lot of the questions in each stage of the system were asked in a specific way that that literally there could only be one answer, and if any other answer came up, boom, they're gone. They're kicked out of the system. And then later on in the system, there's points. There's a point system. Did they do these different things? And it rates them on a scale, right? And by doing this and having a system, I was actually able to train people ahead of time before they're even hired. I can take on multiple people through this funnel of system, this funnel of hiring people, and have them all even be trained as they're being hired in whatever I wanted them to be trained in. And they would be considered tests because they were tests. They were sometimes they would help my business, sometimes they wouldn't. But they would be tests. And then if they passed those tests, if they passed all of those tiers, then they would go on to an interview process and so on and so forth. And later on, right now, with the people that we find for Freedom in 5 Minutes, the virtual systems architects that we find, those people go through a 6-tier, sometimes 7-tier process in order to even be considered for any of our clients. Okay. So why is this important? It's important because when you're hiring, the biggest thing is hiring the right person, right? You don't want that bad employee that you're just going to have to cut. You don't want that good employee that's going to be with you for a month or two and then say, this is too hard. And now you're stuck back again. You want that great employee, right? You want to maximize your chances to be able to get that great employee. Well, the better systems you have for hiring, so you have that initial form that they fill out. It could be a Jot form, it could be a Wufoo form, it could be a Google form with specific questions that in those questions, if they answer anything but the ones you want, they get cut. And then you do it again and you do it again. You have different tests. You have all these different systems to weed out these candidates that are just not going to fly. You weed them out. And then once they're all weeded out, you start interviewing. Or you can even have a process for that. You can have a system for that of how you even want to interview. They answer these specific questions. But the more and more you can systematize how you hire and actually put your training into how you hire, the more you're able to not only hire the right person, which is the most important thing, but you're able to systemize the process and push more people through it and have a better percentage of getting those great candidates. Okay. So why is it important? It's the first and foremost system you should have. It's the first and foremost system you should have is your hiring system, and have a good hiring system so you know you're getting the best of the best. There's a reason why I literally just came from having dinner with a client at Lazy Dog over here, and the client's like, we love our virtual systems architect. Like, I was with him and his wife and 4 kids, and they're like, even his wife is like, oh, we love our virtual systems architect. We love our VSA. Our VSA is like, they couldn't sing enough praises because the person's been vetted so much, but through a system. And the cool thing about it is when you have a system, then you can actually offload that system to your managers. You can to your hiring managers, right? And so the person that they had, the VSA that they have, I didn't hire. That was actually one of my guys who had hired them, right? And it happens over and over and over again, right? And so what right now could you implement in your business when you're hiring somebody, to give, even if it's just one extra step where they have to fill out a questionnaire, and specifically a question, you can ask a question that if they don't answer it in the way that you really want them to answer it, that they're cut. They don't have the mindset that you want. What's something right now that you can implement as a system in your hiring that will either weed out people or even train people ahead of time? Train people toward what you want ahead of time, or something that gives an indication of how they're actually going to work. What's that one thing? Even if it's just adding a tier to your hiring process, rather than it being, oh, I want the skill set, whatever. Because we don't do skill sets with our VSAs for a reason. We want blank slates. We want people who can create systems. That's why they're called virtual systems architects. We want blank slates. We want people who are systems people, because then they can do anything, right? But that's what we want. We want people who can do anything. But maybe you want, like, my core 4 team, they can do copywriting, marketing, social media. They can do phone sales. They can do inbound, outbound sales. They can do project management. They can do all that stuff, and they do it for me, right? And I said do. But that might not be what you want. Maybe you want someone who just does this thing. That's very antithetical to the way we do it, but it's all good. And I'll get into my opinionated stuff later on about that. But maybe it's a skill set. I want someone who can type very fast and very quickly. But you add, rather than it just being that, the next step would be actually testing them on something. Or the next part of it would be asking questions that are going to be landmines. The better you can get into an actual test, the higher percentage you're going to have someone that's good. But an actual test prior to them being hired is really makes a huge difference. But having some tiered system to hiring, not just finding skill set, getting resume, filtering resume, getting them on the phone and going, that generally doesn't work. And even the questions, even the having 2 or 3 questions doesn't work. I'm talking about having questions in there that literally they can only answer one thing, even though it seems like they can answer many different things. But if you want somebody who will always stay up late to finish something, you word the question so that they have to answer it that way. And if they don't, then they're cut. They don't realize they're going to get cut, but they'll be cut, right? Something that's going to do something like that. The biggest thing is to have a system and to stick with that system, and in a way where it's documented and you can have someone else do it. Okay. So what's one thing right now that you can implement in your hiring process, a system that you can implement that will increase the chances that you get a great candidate? I want you to give that a try this week. Give it a try. Add it to your existing system, your existing hiring process, and see how it goes, because doing this type of stuff will increase the chances that you're going to get someone good. So that was the first live video session we've ever done, and that's pretty dang cool. I actually like this a lot. So it won't be the last. And we're going to go through a lot of different stories, a lot of different things, and a lot of different concepts. But head on over to freedomin5minutes.com. We have a business process scorecard there that you can pop in your hours and what tasks you're doing. You're going to see just what is going on in your business. Also have a masterclass on the Freedom in 5 Minutes method. If you have not done the Freedom in 5 Minutes method, you got to go check it out. It's awesome. And it makes it to where my business runs without me, and several other businesses. People have businesses that run complete without them because of a virtual systems architect, but it can be done with anything. It can be done with an employee. It's a specific type of method of creating systems in 5 minutes, 5 minutes at a time. And go check that out. So freedomin5minutes.com, not 5 minutes to freedom. Everyone says 5 minutes to freedom. It's not 5 minutes to freedom. That's some kind of band. All right. I don't even play in that band. So go to freedomin5minutes.com and go check out that stuff. Lots of value added stuff too. And go check out the podcast as well. So it's Dean Soto, freedomin5minutes.com. Thank you for checking out this live session, and I will see you in the next